Hello, hello, and welcome. Welcome on into the Swear Word. I'm your host, Brandon Swear, and hey, this is a podcast for the chili egg community by the chili egg community. Regardless of your spice tolerance, this is the place for you. Man, we have an amazing episode here tonight. We have 3 sauces on deck for Hot or Not, an amazing guest, locked and loaded, as well as we have brought back a very fun game of the 5. So, episode 78 starts now. Hey, welcome on in, Swear Nation. So glad to have everyone here. Man, if this is your first time checking out the show, thank you so much for being here. Whether you're tuning in on YouTube, Spotify, Rumble, or Apple Podcasts, thank you so much for being a part of this. Hey, this is the podcast where you can find everything to do with the world of hot. And speaking of hot, we have 3 sauces on deck tonight for Hot or Not. This is also a company out of Texas that is doing amazing things, and can't wait to dive into these. These are all from Night Sky Sauce Co. So we will be diving into those, as well as we have Jeremy from Night Sky Sauce Co. ready to go for tonight's interview. Man, I cannot wait, as well as we have brought back a dual round of the 5. So Jeremy will be going through a fun game of the 5. You as well can play along. Leave your comments down below if you would have played the game differently or answered it in a different order. But let's do this. Let's go ahead and jump on over to Hot or Not. Hey, welcome on into Hot or Not. We have 3 amazing sauces here on deck tonight from Night Sky Sauce Co. So these 3 sauces here we have are Cinder, Texas Hot Peach, and Wrath. I've aligned these in the order that I think they might be hottest to, mild to hot, if you will. Ultimately, we will find out together. If this is your first time checking out Hot or Not, and you're not familiar with the podcast, I do things a little bit different here. I don't do a 1 out of 10 scale. I do a 1 out of 5, and that's based off of 5 different categories. Those categories are heat, aroma, flavor, versatility, and burn. Add those together, average them out, and that gives us our total swear word rating. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into Cinder. So, first off, love the overall appeal of this label. It's got a nice pop. It has that, cartoon-esque, but also like just very, very refined, very clean lines, very eye-appealing, as you can see it here, as well as, it's got a great overall color to the sauce. The label, the color of the sauce just mold together perfectly. Very well done there. For all those individuals that are keeping track, this does have a perforated pull tab on the side. So I will go ahead and get that opened up here. Simple as that. Pop off that top cap as well. We will give this a shake and get going. I'll grab my spoon. You know the drill. All right, so for everyone that's keeping track as well, there is a flow restrictor. No harm, no foul. Pop it off, though, for the sake of the pour. Put that back in the lid so it closes back on. And we shall go. Wow, right off the bat, aroma-wise, it's phenomenal. Picking up a nice kind of creamy depth, a little bit of a funky fermented kind of, aroma. A little bit of the pepper side of things, but there's a spice of some sort that's going on. A little bit of an earthy note as well, but let's go ahead and jump on in here. This is Cinder from Night Sky Sauce Co. Get a nice pour. Oh yeah, that's a nice medium consistency. That's got some good hold. Like the look of that. You're seeing some overall, specks of what look like maybe some garlic, some black pepper of some sort maybe. But here, cheers. Mm. Wow. Wow. Right off the bat, a very soft, silky taste that comes in with a load of savory umami, a nice pop of some saltiness, but also some of the that definitely tastes like some peppercorns, some fresh cracked peppercorns, not the you know really fine black pepper that you would get. This has an amazing depth and body to this sauce. Definitely excited for this one here. If you are just getting started out, we'll talk about that. The initial heat on this might be a little bit deceiving. So I categorize heat as that first max 30-second window. So if you're just starting out, you might put this on there, really just be blown away by how amazing everything tastes. But if you went a little bit too wild with it and you were just starting out, that might be, making you kind of panic just a little bit. Now, if you're constantly working on your own personal best, you're working on building your tolerance, this is going to be a nice mild to medium sauce here. Absolutely amazing, packed with flavor, though. Really, the whole way through, even right now, I'm still salivating like crazy. This is just absolutely tasty. You're getting some nice notes of possibly some garlic. Like I said, some of that peppercorn is really noticeable throughout this. A touch of like an umami taste to this sauce. Really trying to figure out where that's coming from or what that flavor might be. Just very inviting. It's kind of got a little bit of a, man, what would that be? What does that taste? I mean, the way that it's stinging instead of just like a sizzling burn makes me think that there's possibly habanero in this one. So all in all, phenomenal. Versatility wise on this, I could see myself using this on quite a few different things. And really kind of having that shine. Now, I wouldn't be using this on desserts, but it's not geared for desserts in the first place, so no harm, no foul there. As well as the overall burn. The heat, like I said, is very kind and inviting on the way that it initially starts. The burn, it ticks up quite a bit, not too crazy, but definitely enough to let you know that the burn has now kicked in. And as that kind of sits, it stings and kind of hits the back of the throat a little bit. And it's that like pulsating sting, kind of indicative of a habanero. So, looking forward to seeing what the ingredients are in here. But let's do this. Let's go ahead and read off some ingredients here. So this is cinder. This is from Night Sky Sauce Co. It says, oh, here we go. Yep, that fermented taste, it was correct. Handcrafted fermented hot sauces. This is the classic tangy pepper flavor. So definitely delivers on that tangy pepper flavor with a nice amount of umami. So excited to see what's in here for ingredients. Says cinder. The ingredients are water, red jalapeno, habanero. There we go. Szechuan peppers. Then we have shishito peppers, then Szechuan peppercorns, garlic, salt, xanthan gum. Absolutely very limited ingredients, tons of flavor, tons of depth on this. Between the Szechuan peppercorns, the shishito, the Szechuan peppers, it really kind of giving that overall pepper balance, depth, and kind of that umami taste throughout there. Maybe it's really coming from that peppercorn in the way that it was, the fermentation that happens in that process. Maybe it's from that. I don't know. But ultimately, that flavor is there. It is tasty. I am salivating like crazy. Love this one here. And limited ingredients too. So kudos there. All right, let's go ahead and read these off. So we have heat coming in at 3.1, aroma of 3.76, flavor of 4, versatility of 4, burn of 3.3 for a total swear word rating of 3.63. There we go. Another amazing sauce here. This is from Night Sky Sauce Company. This is the Cinder. Now, let's go ahead and open up the next bottle, the Texas Hot Peach. All right, there we go. Texas Hot Peach. Give it a good shake. Once again, this has a nice pull tab to open it. So for all those that are keeping track, easy to open, easy to get into. Toss the cap over to the side. Now, the overall visual on this, same kind of feel, the cartoon-esque, but very clean lines, very refined. You know, it just looks like a great overall sauce. This one definitely looks like it might be more on more of one that would be great as a glaze. So not only would this, I bet, be pretty good as a standalone sauce, but also as a glaze on a finished product. So let's go ahead and pull the flow restrictor off and get a good pour here. So once again, Texas Hot Peach. Oh, wow. The aroma on this is amazing. Look at this pour. Nice medium hold, medium to high hold. Look at that. I mean, this just screams absolute glaze. If really looking forward to jumping into this one. You get a nice smoky depth, a little bit of a maybe like a bourbon or a whiskey, and then you're getting that great peach aroma. I mean, it smells like a spicy peach cobbler from a overall barbecue, restaurant. So, goodness gracious, this smells amazing. All right, so here we go. Cheers, Texas Hot Peach from Night Sky Sauce Company. Wow. Wow. Texture-wise, phenomenal. It's also got this amazingly interesting texture to it. While it's very soft, subtle, you know, normally some sauces you'll pick up, if they use like a lot of powder in that sauce, you'll pick up kind of that granular feel, that overall. This, it's almost as if you are getting a nice texture of like a pureed, very slow simmered peach throughout that. And that is phenomenal. Now, from a heat standpoint, I actually think this might be less heat than the Cinder. Now, with that being said, the way this sauce acts is completely different. So while this one doesn't hit, or while this one hits a little bit earlier out the gate, from a taste standpoint, it actually kind of plateaus in the heat realm pretty quick. But absolutely could see myself using this on desserts, as well as, topping with like on top of tacos, on say some pulled, barbecue sandwiches. I could also see that being in a spicy adult beverage, or just a regular spicy beverage in general, to really kind of bring some pop forward and enjoy the overall complexities to this sauce. Now, another thing that I was picking up and noticing, the burn on this, because of the peach, and there tastes like there might be a little bit more sweetness to this one, but the sweetness is not overpowering. It's very well done. It's still able to stay in that realm of working on savory dishes without just overpowering, as well as letting that sweetness bind to your taste buds, latch in, and bring the heat as that latches onto your taste buds. So it really sits around the middle of the tongue, middle of the mouth, gravitates there, and just, it's a nice, slow, roaring burn. Not too bad, just overall phenomenal stuff. Once again, I think this would be, now trying both of these, I think I would have done Texas Hot Peach first, because I believe that Cinder, from what I just experienced, is a little bit hotter than that. So, all right, let's read off some ingredients here. So, Texas Hot Peach, we have water, mesquite smoked peaches, fresh peaches, honey, brown sugar, whiskey, mesquite smoked red jalapenos, habanero, garlic, salt, and xanthan gum. Definitely amazing. You're having two different iterations of peach in here. You have some fresh, some smoked. That honey, that brown sugar is really what's latching onto the taste buds, really sinking in not only the flavor, but also carrying that heat to your mouth, to your taste buds. Love what has going on. That whiskey smell is much more prevalent from an aroma standpoint than a taste note in there. However, all that to say, if that whiskey was removed, this would not be the same sauce. So all these ingredients in here are very well thought out, very well planned. Love what's going on here. It's a very unique sauce that can easily work in both everyday dishes as well as in desserts. All right, so let's read off these scores here. For Texas Hot Peach from Night Sky Sauce Co., we have heat coming in at 2.89, aroma of 4.35, flavor of 3.9, a versatility of 4.2, and a burn of 3 for a total swear word rating of 3.67. There we go. Another amazing sauce. This is from Night Sky Sauce Co., Texas Hot Peach. Now we have one final sauce to review tonight. This is Wrath, and just based on the name, I can guarantee this is probably going to be the hottest one of the night. So looking forward to checking this one out. Let's go ahead and grab it now. All right, so Wrath from Night Sky Sauce Co. has a nice perforated pull tab. This has a dark, deep, a dark red, like dark burnt red color, almost brown in color tone to this sauce. So looking forward to it. Get this opened up, throw the seal to the side, give it another good shake. Now, on this label here, you have, octopus going on, but it looks like the Kraken. So, a Wrath, Kraken, I can definitely see this working out. Once again, all three of these sauces are fermented hot sauce and all natural heat is what it says there on the front. Let's give it a good shake. Open up the top. Another flow restrictor. Let me get that out. All right, let me put this flow restrictor down here and off to the side. All right, here we go. Wrath from Night Sky Sauce Co. Right off the bat, you're picking up a very pepper-forward note. A little bit of quite possibly smokiness. Some kind of a slightly sweet aroma on the nostrils, almost smelling like apple or something like that, where it's not super prevalent on a sweet note, but it has that sweet, crisp taste, smell. So, man, absolutely phenomenal. I'm excited to find out what is in here and also see how this tastes. So once again, Wrath from Night Sky Sauce Company. Let's get this one going on the spoon. Nice medium consistency. Boom. Nice pour. Good hold. Love what's going on here. There we go. Just enough room for a little bit more. Nice healthy spoonful. Big old tablespoon. So cheers. Oh wow, actually before we jump in there, the aroma on this sauce just really opens up. It is extremely very loud on the aroma standpoint of the pepper note. You're also getting a little bit of a smoky, savory complexities that are hitting the nostrils now, and a little bit less of a sweet, crisp aroma. So interesting how that all played out. The aroma from in the bottle versus the aroma on the spoon. Wider surface area, really allowing for more of that ingredient and smell aroma to really hit the air and go interact with the nostrils. But cheers. Wow. Wow. Right off the bat, you are greeted with pepper notes, pepper flavor, very, very prevalent. You're getting the nice sweet complexities to the pepper body. The way it is hitting, it initially hits quick on the mid to back of the mouth really starts to latch on and hit the back of the throat. All in all, this is phenomenal stuff. You're getting a little bit of a nice, like, salty, but also some spices going on with this. The flavor profile, though, as to where the others had like the peach, where you had a little bit of a peach accent, the cinder, where you had the Szechuan peppercorns, is really kind of one of those things that was picking up pretty quick in that. This one here, you are just greeted with and kind of sit with the overall pepper notes. Now, get that lid back on there. But the overall body on this sauce is phenomenal. The initial heat spikes up quick, and as that spikes up, it really starts to get settled, parks itself towards the back of the throat for the burn. The burn just intensifies, starts to reside back from the front of the mouth, really parking mostly in the back of the throat. Nothing in the chest, nothing in the gut. All in all, phenomenal stuff. I'm salivating like crazy over that. I could see myself using this on quite a few things. I'm already thinking like a patty melt would be phenomenal, as well as, burgers, chicken, etc. You name it. This thing's going to be great on it. The only thing I wouldn't use this on would be desserts, not geared towards that. With this being a fermented sauce, you get a little bit of the fermented twang, but not too much. It's a very interesting how that one goes. That one still has more of a very subtle change up between the two. So interested to see what the ingredients are going on in this one. Now, if you're just starting out, not the sauce for you. You're going to want to take a look at Texas Hot Peach. You're going to want to take a look at Cinder, because Wrath is not the one for you. If you are pushing yourself, if you're always working on your own personal best, your own tolerance, dude, this is it. This is the one for you then. If you're always pushing yourself and working on your own personal best, and your tolerance is up there, this is for you. This is going to be a high heat sauce. There might be some out there that call it a medium, but overall a nice high heat natural sauce. The way it is, just sitting and parked on the back of the throat, it's got to be a Superhot of some variety. So we will jump into that here in a second. It does also still have a little bit of a stinging going on. So I'm curious if that sting is not from, say, a habanero, or, really, that sting is indicative of habanero. So Wrath from Night Sky Sauce Co. Let's get these ingredients right off. So we have ingredients of orange habanero infused vinegar. Very nice touch there right off the bat, liking that. And then we have water, Caribbean red habaneros. That's definitely where I'm getting that sting. It's both between that vinegar and that Caribbean red habaneros. Here is where the burn is really coming in and why it's parked so much on the back of the throat. We have Carolina Reapers, and then Carolina Reaper salt and xanthan gum. Very limited ingredients. Also explains why the overall flavor profile that I was getting from this is very much pepper forward, peppers the whole way through, very slight, seasoning blend, if you will, mostly coming through on that salt, which also makes sense why you're getting a little bit of a salt finish. That would seem sometimes, a little bit more standout if you are salt sensitive, but all in all, phenomenal stuff. Love what's going on here. All right, let's go ahead and get these scores right off for Wrath from Night Sky Sauce Co. We have heat coming in at 4.2, aroma of 3.8, flavor of 3.68, a versatility of 4, burn of 4.3, for a total swear word rating of 4.01. There we go. Another amazing sauce. This one is from Night Sky Sauce Company. And wow, if you're looking for a pepper forward, nice heat sauce, this one is for you. If you are, not at all about the pepper forward nature, or really your tolerance is on the lower end of the scale, this is definitely not going to be the sauce for you. But for all those chili heads that are pushing themselves, going for their own personal best, This is a nice high heat, all natural, limited ingredient sauce just for you. So I'll have the direct links for all these down below, as well as how you can keep up with Night Sky's Sauce Company. But let's go ahead and jump on over to the interview. Hey, Jeremy, how's it going?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. How are you doing?
Man, I am doing good. Had the pleasure of doing a spoonful of wrath, and man, it is definitely one that's geared towards the chili head. So loved that. All of your sauces had phenomenal flavor. I loved the Szechuan peppercorn pop that comes from the cinder as a whole. But we had the pleasure of meeting at. Oh, we had the pleasure of meeting at North Texas Hot Sauce Fest. And man, it was absolute honor to meet you there, but glad to have you here and learn more about now Night Sky Sauce Co.
Yes, sir. So, yeah, I mean, of course, it was a pleasure to meet you. We were so excited when Cole told us you were going to be there. I was like, dude, I love watching these podcasts. And the only thing I hated is that we didn't get to talk for longer because of how busy it was.
Yep. Which is a good thing to have, right? It's a good thing to
Yes.
be busy. And that was one thing I was really aiming to try to be cognizant of, at that festival for sure, but really any of them, I always try to keep in mind, hey, if there's a lot of traffic at a certain table, I'm just going to move to the next one to not, keep anyone from finding all the amazing sauces and everything that they could be exploring. So, no, definitely excited to learn a little bit more. So, one thing I always like to start out with is what got you into the world of spice, and then what made you decide, hey, I'm going to start making my own products?
Man, it was probably early 2020, first half of 2020 for sure. And I was working overnights as a gas station clerk. And, everything's shut down. You couldn't really do anything. And I had one other person that worked with me on that shift. Well, we alternated days. There was only one of us at a time. And her boyfriend just happened to have the same days off as me. So he actually, she was like, well, why don't you two hang out since you're both bored? So he came over to my house and we were talking about cooking YouTubers. And he pointed me towards the Brad Leone fermented hot sauce video. And I watched it. I was like, oh man, that sounds easy because I was already making salsa at that time. I was like, you know what, I'll try it. And I tried it and I liked it and I refined it and I did it again and again. And my coworkers kept telling me, hey, you need to actually sell this stuff. I was like, oh, whatever, they're just being nice. And a couple years later, I was like, you know what? Things are getting rough right now. It's getting harder and harder to make money doing a regular job. I'm going to try and do this on the side. And it just took, I mean, my first day selling, I sold, I want to say something like 70 bottles. So
Wow.
it flew.
Oh, yeah. That sounds like it. I mean, that's no small number, and definitely for a send off, that's astronomical.
No,
So
yeah.
that's awesome. What I guess from that standpoint, what ended up really being that first sauce that you were making?
So my first sauce, it's a sauce I've even discontinued as a business now. It's called Mild. I'm sorry, Mild Verde, and it was just like a green pepper sauce. It had some, like pineapple mixed in and all that. It was kind of like nice peppery tropical flavor. As far as sauces that still exist in their original form, I premiered my first day with 8 flavors.
Okay.
Texas Hot Peach is the only one that exists with its current or with its original name, and it has been reworked and refined 3 times now.
Wow.
So
Wow. Okay. 8 sauces off jump. That's a tall order to go through.
oh yeah.
What I guess as you started out with those sauces, were they all probably in that medium to mild range, or were there some that were just those outlier, in your face sauces?
So what I did was I had a mild, a medium, a hot, mild verde, and then I had one called Thai Fusion, which is now called Tiger Solstice, which was a pineapple, mango, Thai chili, ginger sauce. We had Texas Hot Peach. Then we had one called Cifuentes Sweet, which was actually named after my late stepfather, who was the first person to ever try my hot sauces. and what we had was sweet and spicy mango. So they kind of, I want to say those four fruity ones kind of aired towards the hotter end of the spectrum. Whereas, the only things I had that were more mild were the two milds and the medium.
Okay. I hear this often, and you mentioned it a second ago. With the overall like close knit friends, family, sounding board, it's always a very positive environment, which is great, and it continues to motivate and push forward. How was your initial response to, say, strangers just starting to get a hold of your product?
So my very first response to actual strangers that weren't friends, family, coworkers, at that very first event we ever did, it was a festival here in town. The whole town turns out to it because we live in a real small town. Um, it was 8:30 in the morning, 30 minutes before the festival even started. This woman walks by. She sees me setting up, these little woozy bottles, and they still had like just white labels with the names written on them at that time. Um, and I say, I have samples if you're interested. And she tried one. She's like, oh my God. And she walked away with 4 bottles before the event even started.
Wow.
So, and then that's just, that day kept going and going and going like that. I don't think maybe 5% of the people who sampled didn't buy something.
Wow. Wow. That's some pretty strong numbers right there. That's awesome. Now, one thing I noticed is you have a very unique approach on definitely, what was that in? That was in Wrath, where you had the habanero infused vinegar. Are you making these habanero infused vinegars or pepper infused vinegars yourself, or how are you going about that?
I am. So Wrath actually, we have another sauce called Spite, which was previously my hottest sauce. People kept saying Spite wasn't hot enough. And Spite was named because it was in spite of people who said I didn't have anything hot. So Wrath was made because, I was angry that they didn't think Spite was hot. Spite was the same principle of Wrath, but I was like, how do I kick it up a notch? So Spite is one of my 19 current flavors, one of 3 that actually has vinegar in it. So I took that vinegar, and what I did was I boiled it and I poured it over some orange habaneros and let it really soak in for a couple of days. And then we poured that vinegar into Wrath when making it. And actually, I was staring at those leftover habaneros, and I was like, what am I going to do with these? And I was like, you know what? I just threw them in the blender with it. And so, yeah, we make the infused vinegar, and then we go ahead and toss the peppers in anyways. I just like infusing the vinegar first because it lets that flavor disperse more evenly. Because like you saw, Wrath is a thicker sauce.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And they all have, while they're thick sauce, like they're that, and then the Texas hot peach was a little bit on the thicker side, but ultimately the flow, once it gets going good. Has a nice resiliency to hold on to, in this case it was onto the tablespoon. Now the same thing would apply for pouring this on, say, like a taco or slice of pizza or something. It's not going to just completely run off in 2 seconds. So you're going to be able to get some hold going on, which is phenomenal to see. You have a very nice selection from what was reviewed here tonight as well. But I do want to touch on the sauce labeling that you have going on here. Now, the design, the graphics, the input, is that something that you thought up, or are you working with somebody else with that? How did the labeling come to be?
So kind of when we very first started, the woozy bottles I was ordering, they came with these little arched labels. So what I did was I just wrote the company name arched on top, and then I had a logo in the arch, and we had the flavor name, and I had a box that described the sauce and described how hot it was. I kind of moved on. I was like, I want something unique. So I started looking at other hot sauce brands. I was like, what are they doing? And I kept seeing the same things. I saw Grim Reapers. I saw skulls. I saw, flames everywhere. I saw half naked women. And if that's your thing, no disrespect to you, but I was like, I want to stand out. So we turned and I actually made some AI generated animals, and then I threw them on just some labels I designed myself. And I kept telling myself, I was like, when we can afford it, when we grow big enough, I'm going to take all this AI and I'm going to throw it out the window. And eventually, I did right before North Texas Hot Sauce Festival, actually. We hit that point, so I went and it cost multiple thousands of dollars to do all my flavors. Um, I went and I hired an artist to go through, and actually he was making me an owl image at first. I was going to get as a tattoo, and then I was like, you know what? Can you do this again, but make it as a hot sauce label? And he did. Cinder was the very first one, and then kind of I would give him prompts, not say, like you have Citrus Inferno right there. I told him, I was like, I want a snake. Specifically, we found like a citrus boa constrictor, I think is what it was called, was an animal. I was like, I want that. I want it to be orangey. I want it to be biting an orange off a tree. And he translated that into, I mean, it's a beautiful label. And I would just basically give
Absolutely.
him prompts, kind of like I was doing to the AI, and then he was turning them into masterpieces.
Nice. Now, and you even just kind of mentioned it a little bit there, but the whole back and forth process, was it pretty easy to go about? Like, obviously, you kind of gave the idea and the direction, but did it take many, meetings to really hone these in, or was it pretty easy and simple to go to?
It was pretty easy and simple. There were a couple of them where I had to be like, I don't really like this detail. Can you make it, shake it up a little bit, make the fang sharper, switch what direction it's looking in, add some extra background details. And
Yep.
yeah, he didn't really make it hard on me. I think he did each one of the labels maybe a week and a half per label.
Yeah. Very nice. Now I mean the thought into all these, it's super. I love the consistency across the board, the theme, even then going from like say the darker labels as we're looking here to say some of these brighter labels, it's still the same feel, the same vibe the whole way through. The harmonious nature to it all is spot on. So great job there. Now you do, as you're saying, you have quite the lineup here. This is what, one, two, three. How many total sauces do you have?
Currently on the website and what we have available for retail is 19. I do have 5 that are slotted for reworks, and then I have 2 that are planned for a total of 26.
Wow. Okay. So you've been pretty busy. How long have you been making sauce?
So, as far as hot sauce goes, like I said, I started early 2020, so we're approaching 5 years total. About this summer, it'll be 3 years as a business. I initially started on salsa actually, because that's just what I went to my stepfather's family functions, and they made salsa, and uh, they would always hand it to me because I was the kid that could eat any spice level.
Yeah.
So once I got probably about 17 years old, which would have been 17, 18, 2015, 2016, I started making my own salsa as well. So,
Wow. Okay. No, you've very clearly been busy. You've been your gears have been turned in to get to this nice amount of sauce lineup that you have going on. I know that you said early on a lot of the inspiration was kind of derived from your already making salsa, and then also like the inspiration that kind of came from some friends suggesting to check out some other stuff. Now, as far as the lineup you have, what was the thought process going into it, and then also what was the moment that you, because correct me if I'm wrong, it looks like everything you do is fermented sauce, correct?
correct. We ferment everything.
Okay.
So that just kind of came from when I watched that initial hot sauce video, the how to. Um, that's what it was. It was fermented. He chopped the peppers up, threw them in water with salt, and blended it a couple weeks later. So that's what I started with. Um, and then kind of, I just, at the beginning, I call them the initial 8. Um, I really just went to Walmart and I kind of spun around and I was like, okay, well, there's that pepper, that pepper, that pepper. I'm going to pair it with that fruit, and that fruit. Grab some garlic, grab some onions. Went to the Mexican market, picked up, I used Manzano peppers a lot early on. That's where actually my Thai chilies initially came from. And I started throwing stuff in a jar together. There was no rhyme or reason. I had a big pile of groceries on my table. Fill the blender, see what happens. Or I'm sorry, at that time I was filling the jar. We've since swapped. We don't do the brine ferments anymore. I call it a modified mash ferment. So it's kind of like a brine ferment and a mash put together,
Okay.
where I make the mashes, but then on some of them I add water in as well, just to kind of like loosen them up and make them stir easy.
Okay. Very nice. Now, with you had mentioned as well though with them all being fermented. Now, I would assume you're not running everything at once. You're probably going in cycles and in waves with what you're fermenting, just because, I mean, the sheer amount of space that it would consume would be pretty astronomical.
So initially I used quart jars. So I think the most I've ever had running at once was I had 10 quart jars and then 6 half-gallon jars. All, and I had a dedicated table in my house just for leaving the ferments on. So
Wow.
16 sauces running at once was my peak. Right now, I kind of average closer to 4 to 5. We do them in gallon batches now, sometimes 2 gallons on like cinder and Texas hot peach. Those, I mean, I sell so much of those. I have to do them in bigger batches.
Yep, yep. No, that makes sense. Now, the now, as far as the once again, a very tall order to be cranking all this out. So, are you doing this all yourself? What how does that look like from a business standpoint?
So I do most of the hot sauce work myself, but of course, with our business, we have other things going on. So my girlfriend actually, she does sometimes starting the ferment. She'll do that for me. She does a lot of the salsas for me. We kind of balance back and forth. Like, hey, I'm working on bottling today. Can you start some new ferments? Or she does almost all of my labels are applied by her. I wouldn't be able to do what I do without her. Definitely a huge helping hand.
Yeah, I mean, you're right there alone, rolling labels on and putting the overall shrink wrap seal on there and having that tightened down. That is a very tedious task, and you obviously want to make sure that you're lining up the labels exactly how you would want them and not all over the place. So
Yeah.
having that help is definitely big. So shout out to her for chipping in, and it sounds like being a very pivotal assistance in times of need on that. So
Yes. Absolutely.
very cool. Okay, so what as far as your own personal heat level, what do you tend to gravitate around? Obviously, I would assume it's going to be one of your more everyday sauces is going to be something that you make. But just for those that are watching and listening, what is it that you currently gravitate towards?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't have as high of a spice tolerance as I used to because I lost my sense of taste back in 2021. When it came back, I didn't have my spice tolerance anymore. So we're still kind of building it back up. Cinder is probably the hottest one of my sauces that I can stand more than a couple of drops of.
Okay.
Um, so I use that one sparingly. Really, mostly like the hotter mediums to the less hot, what I call medium hots, are kind of what I gravitate around. So kind of like the Texas hot peach area.
Okay. Okay. Very nice. Now the Texas hot peach is now we have the smoked peaches. You have the fresh peaches. Now, are you when you're going through the process, are you doing the fresh peaches directly into the ferment, or are these fresh outside of the ferment?
So the first thing that happens with that sauce is we smoke the peaches and the red jalapenos. Those get added directly to the ferment with some other, fresh ingredients, garlic, all that sort of thing,
Yeah.
to kind of seed the ferment. So that adds the smokiness across the bulk of the sauce. And because I use mesquite wood to smoke those, um, I wind up adding some of the fresh peaches back in to give it a stronger peach flavor and smoky flavor. Because the whole reason we even smoke the peaches is to get a sweet smoke instead of that, kind of dry barbecuey smoke that you would normally get from mesquite.
Got it. Okay. Now
But
the
the fresh peaches get added after the fermenting's done. Like that's right before we pasteurize it.
Okay, okay. Now that definitely makes sense. That's what I was trying to figure out because you still have this nice fresh, overall body from the peach. It hasn't been, muted out as sometimes can happen with a ferment. Obviously, time of ferment, all that stuff kind of factors in for the blending of certain flavors and potentially losing out on some. But having that go in towards the end, I can now understand exactly how that level of peach flavor, that pop is still there. So absolutely amazing. Now the overall fan favorites, if you will, whenever you're going out to these, I know you mentioned there's two that you're constantly selling, but do you often have individuals that walk up to your table and they're like, you know what? What's the hottest thing you got? And then they go try Wrath, and then they quickly back down and go to something else, or are they oftentimes grabbing that bottle after that point?
So Wrath is about, I'm going to say about probably 25% of the people who come up, they say they want to try the hottest thing I have. I give them Wrath. They're taking Wrath home with them. The other
Okay.
75%, a lot of those guys, it's going to be younger, 16, 17, 18-year-old guys that typically that walk up in my area that want to try the
Mm.
hottest thing. They usually with their girlfriends or their family or whatever, and they want to show off. And then they usually have to sprint to the other side of the farmer's market to buy a drink. A lot of them cannot handle that. But even then, they usually wind up walking home with at least a bottle. If Wrath is too hot, I usually point them to Cinder.
Yep, yep. No, that's funny because I mean it is very pepper forward. It is very much geared towards the chili head in mind. Those individuals that are constantly pushing their tolerance. So it comes on relatively quick, and then it continues to just really park in the back of the throat and build. So it's a fun sauce for sure. Also one that there's not a lot of additional flavor going on, so you don't have to worry about it really overpowering what you put it on. In a flavor standpoint, it still kind of keeps your dish very comfortably set to what it needs to
Mm.
be while elevating the overall heat and burn that you're gathering. So, absolutely enjoyed that, and that mental picture was already popping in my head and of someone walking up and saying, "Give me the hottest thing," because not too many people are out there actually on a daily basis pushing their own tolerance. So
Yeah.
I can see where that would quickly go south for some of these individuals visiting your booth.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of those people, to my knowledge, I'm the only what I consider an artisan hot sauce vendor in my immediate area. So to them, a hot sauce is if you buy the hot version of Tabasco at Walmart. So then they come and they try Wrath, and that's a whole different level for them.
Yeah, yeah. That's a wake up and humble yourself difference between those two. So no, that's awesome. Now, for everyone that either caught the images online when sharing for the promo of this, or just a second ago while looking at your website, you did just recently go through a rebrand. For anyone that maybe finds you from this podcast and they're potentially confused on if they're at the right place, I guess let's speak on that. What were you originally known by, and what sparked the idea of changing to Night Sky?
Well, the funny thing is, this is actually the second time we've rebranded on January 1st. Originally, we were known as Victus Preserving.
Okay.
I picked a Latin word that, when I looked it up, it meant health, life, all that sort of stuff. And because at that time I was still doing raw ferments, it just kind of made sense. Preserving, I was preserving older ways of cooking, and I was also preserving the food by fermenting. It was kind of like a double entendre deal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my most common question at my booth, they'd walk up, "Is your last name Victus?" No, I'm sorry, it's not. And I had to try and explain it, and I couldn't get anyone to catch on. So they just started calling me at the market. They called me the hot sauce guy instead. So,
Got it.
kind of, you know, the next January came around, and I said, I want to well, this was a couple months before the rebrand. I was like, I need to rebrand. I need to pick something that people are going to identify with. So I was outside. I was loading my car for a market. It was real late at night, and I heard this owl kept hooting. And I was like, that's it. Owls. I like owls. I've always liked owls. This is a sign. We're going to be Owl and Spice Co. To which then people still, it took them forever to catch on. And because I have sort of a lisp and a stronger country accent than a lot of people in my area, they'd ask me my business name. I said it's Allen Spice Co. They're like, well, what's an Allen Spice? It's 3 words, buddy.
Got it. Yep.
um, and then the spice they kept thinking I was a spice rub company. And so we came around um, the next fall, and I was like, one more time. This is for real this time. I need something. It identifies with me. It identifies with what I like. I can easily brand around it instead of slapping an owl on everything I do. And I needed something that told people what I did in the name. Once you read it, there's no question. So we landed on Night Sky because I felt that was true to the owl.
Yep.
It gives you easy colors to work with. Your blues, your yellows, your sunsets, all that sort of idea. You have your stars and your moons to use for imagery. And then Sauce Company. It pretty straightforward there what I do.
Yep.
I make sauce.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I definitely like it. I did like the Al logo and everything you had going on before, but definitely makes sense. As you were explaining it, I could see where people could get confused on that. There's quite a few different phrases as well that are. It doesn't matter as far as an accent or not. It's just the way that if you're saying it and you're already naturally a faster talker too, these words can just rattle together and almost sound like something completely different. So I think that was a very smart move. It opened it up, as you were saying, for a little bit more of still staying in the parameters, but a little bit more flexibility on, how your overall theme is, being able to do, as you're saying, the sunsets, etc. I can see that really playing in phenomenal with your imagery that you already have going on with your sauce bottles. So, okay, you said your tolerance ended up dropping not too long ago. But before that, what were you eating Superhots, like fresh Superhots here and there, or were you mostly just dabbling in different powders and sauces? What did that look like?
So it was mostly like, the occasional ghost pepper hot sauce, occasionally a Carolina Reaper salsa. And then I was pretty much, as far as like general cooking, as much cayenne powder as I could without it burning off of all my meats.
Got it.
Kind of that's where I stood normally. I've never been huge into the super hots just because those things, no matter how high your spice tolerance is, at a certain point, 5, 10, maybe even 20 bites in, before you finish your meal, it starts to become unbearable. And that's why when I went into this, I was like, I'm going to use super hots for the people that want them, but we're going to be flavor forward. I never want the heat to overpower the flavor.
Yep. No, and you're able to really do that and execute that. So liked that overall, because even on Wrath, where it is mostly focused on the peppers as far as the overall flavor profile, the peppers that you have selected do give that nice depth and nice body. So you're still able to really take advantage of all that fun that's going on there. We touched on quite a few different things, collectively, how you got started, how things have been going. Now, North Texas Hot Sauce Fest, from those that I have heard, it is very beneficial, not only as the event itself, but as a networking, brainstorming, collaboration type of group. Now, as you've been making sauce, as you've been going, have you found yourself leaning towards anyone as far as like whether that be a mentor or someone that you just kind of you tend to feel out and brainstorm, and it's kind of been pivotal to your future success?
So, right after we first got signed up for North Texas Hot Sauce Festival, I was scoping out farmers markets in the Dallas area because I was like, I kind of want to maybe make an occasional appearance down here. It's about 2.5, 3 hours away from us. So not an every weekend thing, but once a month, every other month, pop down my head down there. And at the Dallas Farmers Market, I bumped into John from Freaky Ferments. It was Father's Day, I think. So he said that, he had gave the employee that I guess normally worked that booth the day off, I think, and he was running it instead. And I sat there, I talked to him. It must have been 2 or 3 hours. And I kept going on my phone and extending my parking at the parking garage. And I just really bounced off. We talked about how the methods he uses for fermenting versus what I use, and how long we run our ferments for, what equipment he uses to make stuff easier. And not just him, but everyone at Freaky Ferments has been amazing. They've helped me out a lot. Um, Cole from fucking Hot Sauce, he's helped me out a lot. A hardcore hot sauce. I think you've had him on here already.
Yep.
He's really been helpful. There's no one from that group who hasn't been helpful to me. And I try, anytime I know something, I try and help out. Like David, who actually nominated me to be here today. We've bounced ideas back and forth a lot. So everyone's been super helpful. It's an amazing group of guys to be a part of.
Okay. Yeah, no, the collective nature of everyone that you listed as well, they're very much true to what you're saying. They're very thoughtful, helpful, willing to really build up and just watch everyone continue to have success. And that's a great attitude and a great, group to be around. And it's definitely got to be fun to be able to definitely, if you're having an idea of a potential collaboration of different ingredients, if you will, and that within that group somebody has probably either tried that or something very similar. And I can imagine the learning curve is drastically reduced on the amount that is needed to get you where you need to go. And with you constantly having this nice selection of sauce and constantly refining, as you're saying, you have some on the back to bring back out here soon. That process, like you got to be, you're working with all these different ingredients. You got to be able to understand how they work together. And I can only imagine you're able to help speak to how some of these ingredients really shine and play together.
Yeah, we definitely we don't talk too much about like flavor pairings, and they're just, that's the nature of business. We're all friends. We all want to help each other out, but we don't want to give away all of our ideas necessarily, I don't think. But definitely there have been some things where people have mentioned, like I like using this pepper, especially 7-pots come up a lot because they're not something you can buy a lot. You kind of have to really, really look for 7-pots to be able to use them. So we always talk about, the different flavors you can get with that. We more so talk about the natural flavors of the peppers than we do combinations of stuff.
Okay. Now, for your sauces in general, first and foremost, I guess, do you grow any peppers yourself? And if not, or if so, do you use any like contract growers to source your peppers? How does that work for you?
So, right now, we had a small garden last year, and I realized very quickly I wasn't going to be able to grow enough to support my needs. So I was like, well, I'm going to make a yearly batch, and I'm just everything I harvest from the garden this year. We're going to throw it in a batch. This is going to be my 2024 blend, and that ferment actually wound up getting it didn't mold, but it had some calm yeast that I could not get under control, and it was ruining the flavor, and I had to eventually pull the plug on that idea. So we're taking a step back from growing any peppers this year so we can kind of refine that end of our space. As far as where I source my peppers from, I don't have any contract growers that I work with yet. I am working with a local produce supplier here he gets his stuff from contract growers in the Dallas area. So I'm in the beginning stages of talking to him to try and get more stuff by the cases. Right now, I try to everything that I can buy locally, I buy locally. Stuff that has been grown here in the soil I stand on.
Yep.
If not, then I try and, is it worth driving down to Dallas to pick stuff up that's been grown there? If I can't even get it there, then I have to order it online. Usually, it's hard to order fresh peppers online, so I usually have to order like purees that have been sealed or dried peppers and reconstitute them, which is why, like in a lot of my sauces on the ingredient list, you saw a large amount of water. That's because I have to reconstitute a lot of dried peppers.
Okay. Now, that makes perfect sense that you're doing this, You said with you and your girlfriend really is like the main people really getting this whole thing running and moving smoothly. Adding, growing, and harvesting and maintaining all the things to the list. You only have so many hours in a day, so that
Yeah.
makes sense to, if someone else can do it for you, it makes sense to use that and lean on it to get the job done. You'll at least know that there's going to be they're going to be keeping to their level of consistency, which means you have the capabilities of just really honing in and focusing on the things that you can control from a sauce standpoint. So that definitely makes sense. And yes, you had mentioned earlier 7 pots, and absolutely one of my favorite, I guess, gene lines of peppers. I love Caribbean peppers as a whole, and so all of those flavor profiles are a lot more flavorful, a lot more fruity bodied, like naturally, and all these things, and a very respectable heat. Whether you're going with the most tame of 7 pots to the most wild of 7 pots. So definitely a good one there. Now, whenever you're going through for, say, we'll use wrath for example, because with your tolerance not being there, how are you going about sampling that? Are you just doing a very, very small amount to making sure that it's to your liking, or is this just you're going strictly off of what you've honed in recipe wise?
So are you talking about when I sample it myself or when I give people
Yeah,
samples of it?
when you sample it yourself.
So I'm going to tell a dirty little secret I have never even told any of my customers. Wrath is the one sauce I have never tried. My girlfriend is I keep joking I'm going to get her business cards with head taste tester written on them. She every time I make a batch, I call her over. I'm like, come make sure this is right, please. Tell me, is it hot? Especially when we're working on flavors. And I feel so bad for her. She has to try it like 7, 8 times in a row sometimes on the hotter ones as I adjust it. And she was very food shy early on, so it's hard for her to describe. Maybe it needs more salt, maybe it needs more like this. She's doing a great job learning, and this is the business as a whole has been monumental to
Yeah.
her growth as a spice enjoyer, a food enjoyer, all that.
Okay. Yeah, no, I say that because if you're saying that Cinder's kind of where you like to hang around, just Wrath is a drastic jump from
Yeah.
those two. And so I didn't know if that was something that you did just very small dots at a time to try out, but no, it's okay. So she sounds like she's, man, yeah, I think she's able to really help keep everything running together. Sounds like definitely one that you should be hanging on to dearly and tightly with all of the great abilities that she's been able to provide you
Yeah,
and the company.
absolutely.
So, yeah, no, it's phenomenal stuff. I'm looking forward to watching so you said you had 5, or was it 4 that will be getting reworked and back out?
So the 5 are gonna be kind of split across the year coming back out. Um, in particular, I guess I'm just giving out teasers on this podcast now. My wild berry will be coming back in some form, which it was like a sour berry Carolina Reaper blend. We don't
Okay.
know if we want to keep the Carolina Reapers or if we want to dial it back and maybe want to make it a sweet berry Carolina Reaper instead. We're still kind of working out the logistics of that one.
Okay.
And so that's the first one that's reworked that's coming out. And then I told you I had 2 new ones that were coming out. We have I'm working on a lemon pepper cayenne
Ooh,
to come
nice.
out for seafood boil season is
Yep.
the goal to have that one out by. So yeah, I've told none of my customers this. The only person who knew this up until this time was my girlfriend. So you heard it here first.
There we go. Heard it here first on the swear word. Well, I think those will be phenomenal. And I'll keep my eyes peeled as these roll out and make sure to continue to share them out with Swear Nation to keep their heads on a swivel for all the fun flavors, that whether that be a rework or a new drop, because that sounds amazing. And of course, definitely these ones reviewed here tonight were phenomenal as well. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and jump on over to the game.
All right, sounds good.
All right, here we are. We're at the 5. This is a very fun game. This game comes in 2 waves. So the very first iteration, typically, that's the round where you're kind of getting your bearings and understanding how the game goes. And then by round 2, it typically runs a bit smoother for those that are playing. Once again, if you are just checking out the show and this is your first time in here and familiar with 5, I will show you 5 different images one by one. As you can see here on the left-hand side of the screen, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, the weight of these is solely up to you. 1 could be the best or 5 could be the best. And how you rank them is solely based on your own opinion. So,
Okay.
here we go. Up first, we have Whataburger.
Oh goodness. I think I'm gonna land Whataburger right in the middle, right on number 3.
Number 3 it is. I like it. Playing it safe, playing it smart.
Yeah, I love me a good sweet and spicy bacon burger, but I know there's better things and I know there's worse things.
Yeah, definitely. Now we have beer. That's what this is to represent.
I'm gonna throw that on number 4. I think.
Number 4. All right. Let me get that right there and off to the next one. We have In-N-Out Burger.
Okay, number 5.
Number 5. All right. I was about to say, here's where we get to understand. Do you like In-N-Out or do you like Whataburger? So
yeah,
I definitely like both. I have my my personal preference. If I'm in a pinch, I'm going to In-N-Out because it's a lot faster than Whataburger. But you can't rush greatness whenever you're getting that spicy double bacon Southern. That thing's amazing.
Oh yeah.
We have Texas.
Number 1.
Number 1. All right. Very, very well done. You didn't fall for the bait and rank something number 1 right off the bat. And then we have tacos as number 2. So
perfect.
I think that at least from what I can see here, that shook out pretty good. Now, obviously, we can't change anything, but if you could, would you have swapped anything around?
Nope. I love it the way it is. Texas is number 1. I love the state, born and raised. We don't even have an In-N-Out here, so I can't even. I've had it once, and I'm a Whataburger fan.
Okay.
Tacos, you can't eat tacos, and I'm just not a beer drinker. So
fair enough. Yeah, I used to be somewhat of a beer snob, beer connoisseur, however you want to view it, however you want to frame it. I have really had that taper off around, maybe 2017, 2018. No, probably 2018. So whenever I kind of shifted away from that, and now I'm more of a wine connoisseur kind of guy. So I definitely can understand having that one down a little bit lower on the scale. But let's do this. Let's run it back for the next round. So,
all right.
Up next, same game, different images. Let's go. Habanero peppers.
Oh gosh. Let's do that. I think I'm gonna play it safe again. I'm gonna go with number 3.
All right. Number 3 it is. Easily accessible, always familiar habanero peppers. This is just represent jalapenos as a whole. It doesn't have to be specifically the Biker Billy version, but
you know what? I'm gonna put jalapenos at number 1 because jalapenos. I mean that's a classic. You can't beat a classic right there. Even every time my smoker turns on, there is a bacon wrapped jalapeno going in there.
There we go. I like it. Now, I guess to tail off of that, do you prefer stuffing it with cream cheese, or do you like boudin, or do you what do you like to stuff your jalapenos with?
I'm a cream cheese fan. Occasionally, I'll swap and I'll go cheddar, but cream cheese is number 1.
Oh, definitely. I I have a nice little compromise that we do with ours. So if it does have cream cheese, I'll throw the cheddar in there. But the best thing is the second it comes off, like probably 10 seconds before, just hitting it with a nice dredging of shredded cheddar cheese and letting it just kind of do its thing and melt on it. Oh, that's an
Oh yeah, that sounds
ideal
good.
play. All right, we have the 7-pot dougala. Talking of 7 pots, here's one right here.
I'm just not. I'm not experienced enough with 7 pots. I just finally had a 7 pot salsa the first time last Saturday. Matter of fact, so I'm gonna have to put 7 pots at number 5. Not because I don't like them, just because I don't have that experience and attachment to them.
Yeah, no, makes perfect sense. And hey, this is your game, so however you rank them is how you rank them. Now, this next one here, we have the Bohemian Goat. It's another Caribbean pepper, very fruity body. Very similar in heat to, say, a habanero. I like to think and view it as being just a touch hotter, but not by much.
Um, well, I'm not gonna lie to you. I've never even actually heard of this one, so I'm gonna have to go with number 4.
All right.
I do. I love Caribbean peppers. When outside, I love the famous Texas peppers. You have your poblanos, your Anaheims, your jalapenos, your serranos.
Mm-hmm.
Caribbeans are in my heart right after that.
Very well, very fair and good choice there. Your number 2 is the banana pepper.
Okay, I love that. No, I love that. Banana peppers, they're like the best pickled thrown on a sandwich. You're just looking for the flavor of pepper is what I love. You don't necessarily have to have the heat of pepper, just the flavor of them.
Yep.
Um, yeah.
I see a pattern here, and it sounds kind of like that's what you were going for. But just noticing a trend here on my own end, it looks like you went with the most versatile, most use case being the higher rankings, and it progressively, as the use case starts to dwindle or the reach starts to dwindle, we went lower on the ranking. So I definitely understand it and like it there. I would recommend, if you do get a chance, if ever one pops up, you should definitely check out a Bohemian Goat. So
I'm
phenomenal,
gonna have to, yeah.
phenomenal pepper there. And if you're familiar, like I said, with habaneros, expect about the same level of heat. But all in all, you're going to just really be able to uh, understand the magnifying difference in flavor. So, all right. Well, that was the 5. What did you think of it?
It was good. I did a whole lot better than I expected to. I expected to get, caught by something, but I think pretty true. Without knowing what was coming next, I actually was able to rank everything about where I would put it.
Nice. Yeah, it looked like you played a very smart game, a very, very strategic game. So, good job there on that. Now, here's the fun part where you can help out with somebody with a nugget of knowledge. This is a tidbit that someone else can kind of avoid a pitfall or downfall to something. We will frame this in the concept of those individuals that are wanting to start making their own spicy product.
So if you're wanting to make your own spicy product and you're wanting to sell it, definitely the first two things you need to do. But don't even worry about starting your first batch of hot sauce yet. You need to check out your local farmers markets, find out how busy they are, how the market looks. Competition is good, but too much competition can hurt. So definitely see, are there 20 hot sauce vendors every day, or are there 2? And then branding. Don't be like me. Don't change your name twice. Pick something that identifies with you and your products and who you are, and stick with it.
Very well said, and I love the level of there is that deep level of truth to your nugget of knowledge here today. hitting on exactly what the whole intent is to alleviate headaches. And you said that you've rebranded a few times, and each time you've kind of walked into something. Whether the first time they think it's your last name or the second time they misunderstand the name, being able to have that clear understanding from jump could definitely reduce that education purpose, if you will. So very well said. Appreciate that. Now, here's the fun part. You were nominated to be here on the show. You were put on the hot seat. So here's your chance to put somebody else on the hot seat. So who would you like to nominate?
I'm going to nominate Rowan from Satin Black Small Batch. They have,
Okay.
I mean, beautiful bottles. It's super cool guy. He kind of, when we showed up to that initial meet and greet with North Texas Hot Sauce Festival, he was kind of like the person closest in age to me. So we had some like really good conversations, and he's a cool guy and he deserves a recognition.
All right. Well, Rowan, I'll be reaching out to set up a time to have you on the show, and look forward to having you on. Do you have anything else you want to let those that are watching and listening know?
Yeah, I just always keep expanding your taste. Always try new stuff. Never settle for the same old. Be adventurous, and never quit eating spicy food.
There we go. And how can everyone find you? Where can they find you?
So you can find me on Facebook at Night Sky Sauce Company. You can find me on Instagram at in.nightsky.sauce company. That's a different story. And then nightskysauce.com. If you wind up in the Wichita Falls area, Wichita Falls Farmers Market, Saturday mornings, that's the best place.
There we go. Well, thank you so much, Jeremy, for being here. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on, diving deep into Night Sky Sauce Co. And look forward to watching as these sauces get released, your continued growth and success. And I look forward to having you back on.
Perfect. I look forward to being back on.
Jeremy, thank you so much for coming on. It was an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast. Looking forward to keeping up with all the new releases, the reworks, and everything that you have in store, and checking out the rest of your lineup. So definitely looking forward to having you back on, as well as if you're wanting to keep up with Night Sky Sauce Co., I will have the direct links down below. You can keep up with all the socials, the new updates as far as the website goes, and any sauces that roll out. Thank y'all so much for being a part of this, making the swear word what it is. Could not do this without y'all. So continue to share this out with other like-minded chili heads. Don't forget, new episodes drop every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Central. So if you're looking to grow your brand, start your brand, you've hit a bump in the road and you're trying to figure things out, highly recommend checking out podvision.io for all your needs. As well as like to shout out our other sponsor, webdx.one. If you are, in the market for a new website, maybe yours is out of date, maybe you had some changes, but you haven't been able to access and update the website, highly recommend checking out webdx.one, as well as if you're looking to automate and streamline your business flow, whether you're a small or medium business, highly recommend checking them out for that as well. Could not do this without y'all. Thank you so much, Swear Nation. Episode 78 is in the books. I'm Brandon Swear, and from everything from the world of hot, this has been The Swear Word.